to wash.
What? No, put nothing on the camera now.
Yeah.
This is good to wash.
What's he doing? Is that good? Oh!
Sarge.
Throw a kiss, Josh.
Have to do a plump shot.
Echo, when we get home, you gotta go straight to Weight Watchers, don't you? Go to Lizzie's Chick Smurf pageant.
Who?
Lizzie's Smurf pageant.
Her Smurf pageant.
This is gonna ruin my skin, cause I...
Wimpy Smurf patty.
No, Lindsay's.
Lindsay's dance recital.
Yeah, Lindsay's.
Put your hat on.
Let's go.
Put your head on, little slugger.
Little slugger.
Let's see what he'll do. Dance, Joshua. Dance for Grandmama.
Get your hat.
Dance. Can you dance? Huh? Dance.
Peep-eye. Peek-a-boo. Are you playing peep-eye with me? Joshua. Are you playing peep-eye with me? The other day at Kmart, he was doing that to a lady, and she said, "Are you playing peep-eye with me?" And he went,
No. That's what he was. Oh, wait, you should put it on somebody else.
"Are you playing peep-eye with me?"
Get your hat.
Not playing peep-eye with Mama?
Get your cap and put it on. Put your cap on, slugger. Put it on. What's holding it, Papa? That cup.
He'll be asleep before we get the water load.
Yeah.
Come here, Pee Wee Pete.
Are you a Pee Wee Pete? Jennifer is. Oh, you got that. You got down in there.
Come here.
Throw me a kiss. Throw me a kiss, Joshua.
Losing your pamper?
Grandmama's losing her thing. Losing the camera off of the tripod.
You wanna go put on your clothes? Let's go put on your clothes. Come on, let's go put on your clothes.
Throw Grandma a kiss. Throw me a kiss. Mwah. Mwah. Throw me a kiss. Who is that? Sarge? Can you say Sarge? Say Sarge? Hey, Jennifer. Say hey, sister.
Hey, bye.
Hey, bye.
Let's go put on his clothes. Come on. Let's go put on his clothes.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Joshua. Tell me bye-bye. Humpty Duck. Give Papa sugar. Give Papa a kiss. Give Papa a kiss. Give Papa a kiss. Give Papa a kiss.
This isn't liquid.
Where'd you get it?
It's just water. I
Well,
got
give Joshua a drink if it's clean. But don't get his clothes wet. Yeah, drink.
You're going to pour it on him, Jennifer.
Well, give him a drink, Papa. Just
She don't want none. Chip, chip, chip. That ain't Florence mall, what they call it?
This is Magnolia Mall.
Oh, I'm taking a picture. Don't hit nobody. They have Western Sizzlers down here. See what I'm taking? Yeah. Well, how about that? Well, I can just watch this down the window. Look, Eva. Hey.
There a long time, but
Hey, Yois.
it was when Kathy that was,
Look, Yois.
because we used to bring them.
Look, Dodie.
Is in there.
Doppel. Wait once, I'll go along when I dress around. So wait very easily when it's making down. Must be raining. Go out and tie the horse loose.
That sounds
What
like you
time?
have to let it loose.
Throw the mule over the fence some hay.
That's about like Marie used to say, hang off me. If her kids would be trying to get her lap, she'd say, hang off of me, hang off of me. But she wasn't,
Jakey was in
Oh,
the
but she
chicken
was-
house feeding the peepees
Yeah,
and
that-
lost his chewing gum. He thought he found it 3 times before he gave up looking for it.
That's what I told you. It was
Worked for hire, wrote this note to her employer. Dear Ms. Weaver, this is from Becky. I couldn't come Tuesday nor the Tuesday before. Since I can't come Tuesday, do you think you'll want me next Tuesday?
One from the Amish country or Niagara Falls.
May all your bridges be covered ones. Covered bridges are for smooching. Becky wants marrying. She's already 17.
I'll let you and Mildred.
Kissing don't last, but good.
One time. No, you know, a man down
Who was that? We took you.
He went to work.
Frank and Bernice and me and Louise went when we
Oh, I took Daddy over on the base to a parade.
Daddy wouldn't go with us, and we went on, left at 5 o'clock that morning, got back about 12 that night. That was a whirlwind trip.
Now he
Frank
took
wouldn't
us
stop
around
no
and showed us.
versions on television land.
That's what I'm
On that
telling you.
cable
They-
television.
They say in 2 years that'll be the styles here. You know, it hits up there
That's
about
some-
2 years
They
before.
gonna make
You
Just
ever
button
watch that?
shoes.
That's
Have
what
you got
I'm telling
cable?
you. In the
You
shoe
get
stores,
CNN.
they got the high button shoes.
News Network. You ever watch any of them fashion shows on Saturday at 2:30?
No, I'm always working at that.
If you're ever at home, there's some of the ugliest thing. I watch it just to see what it is.
And the
Some of the
pump
ugliest,
See, some of that other stuff you ain't gonna
the
do to wear.
ugliest clothes I have ever seen in my life. I watched
Hey, and
it
y'all
all
should have
the
seen this old woman sitting out there by Frank on this bench. She had on corduroy knee pants, you know, that had a cuff on them that's turned up above her knee, and high heel shoes, you know, and pantyhose. And she had on a hat of some kind, but she had on lipstick, and it was smeared all over her lips, you know, way around her lips. And she would just sit there and smoke one cigarette right after the other. But man, she was sitting there with her leg crossed, you know, and her
She was an old lady.
yeah, she was old, and her pants was pulled up above her knees like that, and with them lips, you know, and she'd sit there and she'd just smoke, and she'd puff, and she was just looking, and
just made Billy think he was
Yep, sit down.
He
He didn't offer to get up though, man.
She
He just kept sitting there, you know.
I bet
And
he
I
was
said,
looking at another woman.
and we never did get a picture of it. I said, I wish somebody had made a picture of Frank and that old woman sitting there.
But they had the camera running, but she had it running out there to people meeting her.
And this one boy down on the basement floor where we ate lunch, he come in there and he had on these old slick pants, you know, and they looked like that he was
When in
melted.
New York, y'all go up through Buffalo,
Bypassed it.
bypass Buffalo and on up through Dover Downs.
Yeah.
And, you went by Dover Downs, didn't you?
And they had
And up through Rome.
this
I've
little
never
boy.
been to New York.
Yeah, the boy had his hair.
Yeah, I spent 2 weeks up in there and
It was sitting up just like that on his head, and he's
when
gone.
was it? It was January, wasn't it? When they had 42 inches of snow up there at Griffiths Air Force Base. Right before you go on over into Watertown. But it's still over in Buffalo and Rome and Dover Downs.
Zeno did.
They still had snow
I wanted to.
in Niagara Falls, up on top of
Yeah.
the falls. It looked like
Well, that was the Adirondacks.
it looked like the snow was still about 6 or 7 foot high, you know, up on top of the fall.
Is that what you was getting ready to tell us, or did he take your train of thought?
About this boy that in
Oh, yeah.
where we was eating, and he had on these shoes that looked like elf shoes, you know, they was real pointy toes and with big old buckles on them. But now in Canada, in the shoe stores, they got these men's shoes with these big old buckles on them. They look like elf shoes or
You remember when
something
Red Fox was?
Them
Red Fox
for
was
the,
moving that
that's
piano?
for the black people in Canada. You know what they call them, don't you? Them leprechauns.
Well, we saw a lot of them too. White boys with black girls, and black girls with the white boys, and oh, it was terrible. It was just as
Get
yellow.
the rest of that story on that.
Yeah, his hair was just as yellow
Well, you do
as
that,
it
right?
could
Go
be.
out here to Baskin
it
Robbins.
was
Y'all got a
sticking out
Baskin
in
Robbins
fronds.
here in town?
It looked like
You go into
horns, you
Baskin
know,
Robbins, you'll pay
all
$1
over
or
his
something
head,
for
and
one
it was
scoop
sticking
on
out
it.
about that far all over. I don't know how in the world he got it fixed like that. No, it wasn't teased. It looked like it was twisted in little,
And it stuck with that old.
all that old
gel.
glue that they have. And but he had on them shoes, you know, and he had on them slick pants, and he had on it just ragged like. And I said, you know what? I could have went in a rag bag and come up here, and I'd have been in style.
Safety good clothes, you come back.
Oh, I could have got me some outfits out of the rag bag, you know, and I'd have been in style up there. It was really thought we saw oh, we saw the awfulest messes. And I mean, that's the kind of clothes they had in the windows in the stores.
They said this season you're supposed to not use your iron.
Well,
They're
they
supposed to be wrinkled.
These, this old stuff.
trying to get rid of hers.
She broke
Last
hers
night she knocked it
yesterday.
off.
Yeah, I did break that little thing where you can't put the tip.
That's what the clothes was made out of. All this old stuff, you know, that you don't
crinkle
have,
stuff
the
that they don't-
crinkle-looking stuff that you
That's
don't have to
what's
iron.
in catalogs and all now.
All I wanted to do is just sit and look at the people. About one thing except for lunch and ice cream cone. And then he got 2 scoops of ice cream, and I got 1, and it cost him $3 and how much was ice cream? $3 and something
26 cents for them.
for 3 scoops of ice cream.
You mean they got that much tax on it
No.
too?
Well, you pay that here. You go to Baskin Robbins and buy an ice cream cone and
It
see
don't
what
cost
you
you
pay for.
that much.
I bought Mildred one in Spartanburg and paid $1.20 for a cone of ice cream.
And you
for one
still
scoop of it.
remember it?
1 scoop.
1 scoop of ice cream at
Well,
Baskin
yeah,
Robbins.
Well, that's
$1.
what it was up there. 1 scoop was $1.20 something.
It must have been, I said, told him the girl, I said, how much? She said, $3.26. I said, you ain't made no mistake. She said, no, sir. I said, I just want to check this out, because I'm going to tell my.
And it wouldn't
So
let
you
you
got
sit down
cheaper.
in there
Your
and
one
eat.
scoop was $1.20, and his 2 scoops he got them for $2. So he got his bargain. If you would have got
Everything there, all the driving oil.
The bus driver got his free, and we had 1 a meal that, what you call it, Anyway, they gave it to his wife. She went with us.
Complimentary.
Complimentary meal.
And she end up on that bus. All of them has been paid for that, but them people, they
Driver's wife, what we do?
yeah.
Picked
You
her up
picked up
Wilson,
the
North
bus.
Carolina. He was from Wilson. We picked her up at 2:30 in Wilson.
What time did y'all leave? Real early in the morning?
12
We
o'clock
left
at
at
night.
12 o'clock at night.
I thought they was gonna leave on Monday morning.
Well, what?
It was Monday morning.
They
I never shut
suggested
my eyes
if
up
we
overnight.
didn't see anything,
I
we'd
sat
have
on
to
the
leave
back
about
seat.
2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, if we
Sorry, I sat on
saw
that
anything
over
in
there and
Pennsylvania. So somebody said, well, why not just leave at 12 o'clock at night? So they said, well, that'd be fine.
Yeah, see.
You don't have to unlace
You don't have to unlace them.
Wow.
They got them shoes
That's
now,
a-
you know,
that's
they
a
didn't
big
have
thing up
children's shoes, now they got
And
grown
that beach
people's with
down
that
there, they do
Velcro
that.
on it. All you have to do is just
But
put
that's
the strap
ain't,
across.
man, it's
There's not many people even
60
doing
foot
selling
across the
shoelaces.
bottom.
That'd be a good walking shoe.
I'm gonna tell you what's the honest truth. I've seen these shoes and I never would buy them because I didn't think that I could wear them. And I put them on yesterday, and that's the most comfortable pair of shoes that I have
I
ever
got
had
to
on
get
my
me some
feet.
good walking shoes.
Oh,
I
and
got
let me
where
tell
I
y'all
can-
what I was gonna tell you a
I'm
few
having
minutes
trouble with
ago.
my foot. It stays sore all the time.
I was gonna tell you about us going to Virginia. We was talking about sending Frank to this fruit stand to get the peanuts, you know, and he went down the hill. Well, we was going to Williamsburg, Virginia, and we saw this big sign. It was a cafe and said "Home of the Cootsie Burger."
Cootsie burger. Yeah, he
And
went
we'd
in.
never
I
heard
have
of
a Cootsie burger that day.
before. So it had on a sign too, you know, boiled peanuts and parched peanuts. So we got close to it and we said, Frank, why don't you stop and get us some boiled peanuts? So he went in
It
this
was just
place.
a little hick town.
Yeah, but he went in there and he stayed and stayed and stayed. And he come back and he didn't have a thing. And I said, Frank, I said, where is the peanuts? He said, I don't know, I didn't buy any. I said, well, what did you go in there and find out what the Cootsie Burger was?
We just tell him all the rest of that trip about getting him a Cootsie burger.
We kept asking him what was a Cootsie Burger. He went in there and went to the bathroom, but see, he
Didn't even
forgot
think
all
about
about
the
getting us some peanuts. But
When
he
you gotta
was
go to the bathroom, that's all you get your mind on.
he was in there long enough to find out what a
I
Cootsie
believe
Burger
he
was.
got. He was happy when he
Maybe
come
he
back
went in
too.
there
I
and played
believe
with a Cootsie
he,
burger.
I believe he got him a Cootsie burger that day. He was happy that day.
One never will know.
He wasn't happy when
And
we
you
got
not
on that
gonna tell
ferry. He wasn't happy though when we got on up the road and got on that ferry to go across the James River.
He liked that.
He didn't.
You ain't gonna
do it.
tell him, are you?
Neither one didn't like it.
Frank does. I mean, he went up there and went across and come back on the ferry.
He kept saying he didn't like it. That day, he might have learned
You know,
to like it.
if y'all had been going the other way, what y'all, a good trip, if you ever go up that way, driving, go up
Across the
13,
Chesapeake.
well, across the Bay Bridge Tunnel, and then go on up into 13 to Seaford, Delaware, turn over to Lewis, Delaware, and take the ferry from Lewis, Delaware over to Cape May, New Jersey.
That's where the
Now,
nude
you
beaches
know.
are.
Huh?
That's where the nude beaches are.
I wouldn't,
Lord, Frank
I don't
would be-
know if it, I don't know if
In
it's young
Camp
about
May?
that right
No,
there.
that's at Mays Landing.
Mays Landing.
Hey, you go by that on 40, on Highway 40, out of Chester,
You
Pennsylvania.
wouldn't
down
have the
to
Highway
92.
40 blues if you went by there.
When we was coming back from Florida, I tried to get them to go to Jekyll Island, and they wouldn't do it because that's, you know, they got a nudist called Jekyll Island.
Coming back from where?
Did you?
Coming back from
Join 'em.
Florida.
Well, now,
Picture was
on
long on that.
Highway 40,
That's the reason y'all didn't
but
go
they got a
to
big
But he just is crazy.
fence
he went on
there
this
where you
trip
can't
too.
see it.
Who's y'all's
But
preacher?
now there's a
Wilson
river.
Scruggs, and he just as crazy
This
as we
nudist
are.
colony is built right on the river. And they say that there's all kinds of people goes up that river, but they can't keep you out of the, off of the river, you know, with boat.
He puts a gene on everybody's name.
And the nudist colony is on both sides of the river.
That's you. He thought it was Billy answering the phone. I said, yeah, it's me, but I believe you got the wrong person. I believe you. He didn't. He said we sounded alike. He thought it was Billy answering the phone.
And she told us about this lady in the church, you know, that had been a member a long time. said, Sister Brown's been a member of the church a long time, said today we're going to honor her, said we're going to let her pick out the 3 hymns. She stood up, she said, okay, I'll take him and him and him.
What was that about the frog? I think I told that, and I done forgot it.
Cutting the leg off,
And
you
it
was
loses
one.
its hearing.
Huh?
The frog cut off one leg, you know, and it jumped 15 feet. And then you cut off the second leg and it jumped 10 feet. You cut off the third leg and it jumped 5 feet. So it cut off the 4th leg and set it down and it lost its hearing.
Yeah, so
See,
it's like frogs lost
The
its hearing.
Pollock was writing this report on it.
Yeah, that's right.
You done forgot about your joke?
Yes, it's like frogs lost hearing. Well, did I ever tell you the one about the kaplunk maker?
No, I don't think so.
Huh?
I don't think so.
Well, this guy went to college for about 12 or 15 years, every kind of degree in the world. And what he learned to do was make kaplunks. And he went to all the military services to try to get in and to be a kaplunk maker. Army turned him down, so they didn't have a place for a kaplunk maker. The Air Force turned him down, the Marine Corps turned him down, the Navy finally took him, said, yes, says we've been looking for one. And they put him on this big scientific ship, put him out to sea, and he told them, says, now look, says, I don't want to be bothered for a period of 3 months. So he worked for 3 months, and the day finally come that he was going to show everybody what his kaplunk was. So he come up the gangplank, up to the quarter deck on the ship. Everybody, all the sailors on the ship had gathered around the rails and all to watch the guy. So he come up with a velvet, a big box sitting on velvet in his arm, and he walked over and they had a table sitting beside the ship, or beside the rail. He set the box down. They done a drum roll. They had the band up on the deck, done drum rolls and all with the band. He opened the box and he picked out just a little old square object, about like so. Picked it out, walked over to the rail
Don't
of
go
the
in front of
ship,
the door. Come back. Come back.
walked over to the rail of the ship, and when it hit the water, it went kaplunk.
But he thought about defense. He said, well, he said, I tell you, he said, they either got to paint it or tear it down one.
No breed dog, sitting there licking its rear.
Oh, you had it.
I had it in there about an hour and a half.
I thought that license you got didn't bother you too
Yeah,
much.
it's got a crack in it.
What'd you do, bite it when you put it in your mouth to wet?
Shot on it.
Oh.
Oh, because I had it in my eye one night we had a storm.
Well, I had Willie sat on it in his eye.
I mean, that's hard to
And I went out to the car, and I opened the door, and the heat out of that car sucked that thing out of my eye. I thought I caught it in the cabin. I laid it in another cabin. I had 2 cabins. I laid one on top of the whole end. I got home. And I said, well, Bill, I lost that contact, man. She said, where? I said, I don't know. I think it's in the cabin in the car, but I'm scared to take it out and it went into there. So after they ate supper, we went out there, and she found the thing where I was setting the seat on it, and it folds up like that. And it just finally broke. Look, I feel like it's right in the corner of my eye, where that piece is come off in my eye.
Well, if it's broke, you don't need him anymore. Works under city.
They wear them old blue uniforms like the city police.
But I haven't had none of mine. One man come out there first morning, I went to work. He said, I won't be back tomorrow. I said, no. I said, why? Then you got it yourself. Doing a good job out there.
Who, a deputy was with you?
He ain't been back out there.
Well, deputies used to have to do that, didn't they? They used to put deputies on that.
Well, they do that when I call in and tell them I can't do that. They take care of my place. I get paid for it.
That week that was going on, they called it and told him that he was
You got to go pretty soon.
We're supposed to meet us no more.
That's been a long time. I think I did see it. Face and put down there.
Huh?
You got to put a new door thing down there.
Quit worrying about all that sheriffing you do and fix your house, huh?
You're supposed to put the door up there. You said that door.
You know when Louise had that work done on the house the other week?
What do you do? Put
He
that
had to
seven
fix
dust
that basement
around it.
door. He had to take, he looked and that piece across there, he opened the doors and that piece across there was rotted. I don't know. Well, that's not.
We enjoyed it.
Enjoyed having you. How many times you run that thing?
I'm just making pictures everywhere, and then we'll look at.
No shaky. I flew in one of them,
But it says
them things
10.
quiver like
It says
this.
1072. How do you get that other number? The Marine Corps call them different.
It was a big.
Danielle paid $12 for one, I believe she said.
I guess this fixed to go on.
Get up to supply.
We're driving going up and down these hills.
Special CLG Grand Wagoneers going out right now. That's right. They're not going to. Well, correct, Sandra. And then how much did Dan or BJ?
Well, I don't even rotate my tires. No, ma'am. Not, not radials.
John put some in. How much did John put in?
Plan to buy it in tires. Those tires all would last as long as I keep.
You could get 60,000.
That would make them get out of, feel like
And keep the front end aligned and balanced. Most people don't.
WBLC, 20 minutes past.
But you should change your oil between 6 and 8, around 6 or 8,000 miles.
In Belgium. Russ Cover in Inman's got a big old birthday. Happy birthday.
Oil does, it don't wear out, but it'll get awful dirty.
Enjoy the day. Come on Looper Road in Pelzer. Joel Crawford, who lives in Pelzer's got a 4th birthday tomorrow. James and Jennifer folks want to wish him a happy birthday. And Alvin Leeson, Jonathan Love. Well,
We run it behind time.
Mrs. Ludwig, I guess that is.
Why?
We just are. We should have done it.
This 1495 at Jacksonville.
Stay on 76 then.
No, we get on
Cut that next time you want to make some pictures.
Very nice shirt.
Seems like there's a lot of house
Took the
sitting up
witness
there.
stand in her $75 million libel suit against Tommy.
Rosie, what's a world-famous piano player is flushed out of that corn crib at the same time. There's so many of them that broke through the ranks and run slant. And put that inner tube around a exhaust pipe and run the other end of that inner tube. Anytime you're such a great athlete that you can bounce a basketball with your right hand, the good is playing for the Atlanta Hawks. And them Tigers are bad, wet or dry.
It's
And
part
my
of the
mama
mill.
lived in a house one time what had a double
What
fireplace.
bed was?
What that means is you sit in the one room and then back into the bed, and when I got back into the bedroom on the other side of the fireplace, I saw Mama had moved the furniture. Every night, boom, 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 he come down flat of his boom and jarred the whole house. Here come Mama with the lamp, holding up over her head. What in the world has happened to you young ones? And I'm laying there in the bed giggling. And one day, was kicking up that dust, and he got out in the middle of the road, and bear hugged him when he come by and stopped him. Slow down, Kirk. What in the world's happening? He said, Mr. Halley, it's judgment. Why would you say that?
2 years old, Catherine Gillespie, a home book.
And hook will truck. And he never wore nothing but just a pair of overalls, nothing else. He always kept the top band up the beer jug. I'll have to admit that Marcel got into some trouble one time before that. One morning, and the next Lord's Day, they served the Lord's Supper. And everybody in the church house, I guess that he was the proudest of, was a coon. Rich folks are thinking that aggressive, tough, likes to play it mean. In fact, when he was ordained as a Baptist preacher, he had 2 black eyes. I'll tell you that. Just into something all the time. I remember one day I studied some kind of book, and Aunt Daisy could read. She taught the book. Aunt Daisy walked up the front stone, and she heard something growling and dust coming out from under the doorsteps, and there come Eugene out from under. You done bit Aunt Daisy. And they brought her in the house and set her down on the bench. What time raised up a chicken coop and caught 4 of the biggest, finest fries and let the well bucket unwind down on them, pollution, right down in the well. Now, folks, and it took about 6 months to draw it out and clean it up before they could drink water out there. Eugene was forevermore bad. Bad but black. I recall one time me and my brother Sonny were going to the gristmill. We was driving by the Ledbetter house when I mused and wagging. And about
I don't know if I've heard him
coming
spell it or
around the
not.
house from the back side of the Ledbetter home. And hounds over in there, and had his mama's battling board in a great big box. Not too long ago, I've been criticized.
Where's that water
From that concrete truck. They got water in them truck.
Take the bypass around. Well, I think you stay on this road is what it is. We used to go down through town.
Look at the new shipment of mothers back. I'm going between. Should decide they don't have to.
Besides that, if you got inner ear problem, they're making that where they'll have parking. They used to.
Did you want to go across the swinging bridge?
Just taking a picture. On the rock. Ooh, I'm gonna take it like that so.
Was that a water slide, John?
It looks like it. It's like it. It's something. Is that the way they? That must be coming in.
See it right here? Which way I go?
You're right, yeah.
Other right.
Here she comes in her house coat. They've been on their patio.
They're eating drinking the brick.
And, now I ain't pretty today because I had to hide some of this fat.
Now take her all over.
I'm telling you the truth.
See her bedroom shoes match the flowers in her duster.
Yeah. Should have kept on them others and took it in there.
That's a pretty.
You go over there with her, Eva.
The Mildred gave me that. My daughter-in-law.
That's so pretty.
She gave about $37 for that.
I tell you, whoever
about
crocheted that
18.
tablecloth did a good job. Isn't it beautiful?
Don't you think about Mildred and how sweet she is every
I
time
know
you
it.
pass by?
I certainly do.
I do mine.
But she about how durable crochet. We were coming there and told. Well, I told the girl. I said.
They told me to come out here and take pictures of the yard. I think they want to talk about me while I'm out here.
Patty cake, patty cake, patty cake, patty cake, patty cake, patty cake, patty cake. The smiling boy. The smiling boy.
Yeah. He likes that doggy.
He does. Let's see, which one was it?
Goodness gracious.
You want to sit down?
Sit down.
You want to sit down? You want to sit down?
Look.
Yours doesn't have the sound, does it?
Yes, it does.
It does?
Uh-huh. Justin, look at me. Hey there. Hey, precious. Hey. Look. You gonna fall? You gonna fall? Uh-oh. Oh. Oh, that. It's not gonna take him from that window. But I tell you, I wouldn't take nothing.
Picks up your voice too. All that's recording.
But they took all the calories out.
Look at me. He likes that. Take it off. Hi, baby doll. He's so sweet. He's a good baby. He's the cutest thing. I don't care how bad he's crying.
It'll pick it up.
I wouldn't remember.
JW would be just
He can be crying like everything, and I turn that on.
No, now this guy is, he's not as old as I am.
He's got his pipe in his mouth.
I've been concerned in Greenville for years. He's finally sold that out.
whistling.
And he got the chain link to
But that will stop him crying quicker than anything.
I saw him last time. Told me he quit bargaining off, said he had a truck. And that's what he
Well, now he had his own truck, but he's driving a company truck now. He sold it. There's no money in it. They were,
what he tell.
Bye-bye, Chester.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. It's a drink on his own.
You're sloppy. Say hi.
Look. He wants to see that refrigerator.
Bye-bye.
I got so much on the refrigerator.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yeah, you're just so crazy when we're talking here live. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. He put his hand up like he's going to say bye.
Hold back far now. Just switch around when you want to.
Get on. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Let's go.
You gonna go?
Just come on with us.
I'll see y'all. Y'all come
Donna,
to see
hello.
us. Sure will. She said she's coming up, right?
Y'all come to see us sometime.
Y'all come back tomorrow night for supper. Or tomorrow dinner anytime. back to the left down there, Mark Hughes. But what they're saying, I want to carry y'all in and let's carry on some of the main.
I want to.
Some of the main floors of it.
Now you see those houses right up on the two houses up on.
And I'm going to show you where I used to
That's where Brother
when I go to lay down office that.
Please.
He'll come back. You want to circle around and come back before the much money?
Now this is where Brother Hughes is going to be president. This
He'll be president of this.
That's North Cleveland, right
In front of us.
Now that's North Cleveland Church that you're coming right in. Go back there.
Over here.
It's North Cleveland. They got a
Oh, they
satellite.
got.
That's where.
Pathway bookstore.
That's where Carl lived, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right down the
Uh-huh.
corner.
And Carl said he'd do anything, dig
Bobby.
ditches, do anything.
Bobby Jean White
This is hard.
come up here one time.
What are they building here? Right there.
That's Pentecostal Research Center.
Oh, that's going, all of that is for the,
Pentecostal
Pentecostal
Research.
See the, they did.
They, Carl Richardson is now. But Nashville don't have anything any better than that. And this is the Forward in Faith building. That's all offices for all the Forward in Faith.
Hey, what's going on?
That's video, brother.
Oh, great. Wait to see you. Yeah. Of course, I think it is beautiful.
I ain't seen you in such a long time. See you.
Yes, it is.
Tremendous. Again.
Oh, no.
No, I'm trying to lose again.
I don't know if I do.
Nothing. Enjoying our retirement. You know,
Good to see you. Don't you ever, they know better than me.
Yeah, we do.
They know.
Oh, you ought to hear my song that I've been starting with.
Right, you better believe it. It's
You're
good.
supposed to get it on tape?
Yeah, I'm going to, what quick as I get a good one on tape, I'm going to send it to you.
Good, I want you to do
I
that.
will. I sure
Okay.
will.
Let's see. Reading in case they can. This symbol of the Holy Spirit was carved and donated for this building by the Reverend H.M. Jack Drake in 1968. That's beautiful.
He was supposed to make Marshall over as his treatment. About 6 years ago, he was down there.
Where's it start?
And I've counted them several times. I never can get but 120. That's a Pentecost. And the usher plaque, you know, it's the ministers that donated this. This didn't cost the church anything. Those ministers down there donated it. They put in here.
Leonard Carroll.
Yeah,
James A. Cross.
Brother Cross just went out.
That's the one that's over here. Farm. Houston Moorhead. Raymond Spain.
Sounds funny, Thomas L. Larry. I always just heard it. Yeah.
Isn't that little tiny tiles?
These are little blocks.
Little tile blocks.
Yeah, they're really pieces.
You don't look like no thing. He looks like a preacher.
How you doing,
He
Freddie?
never said he doesn't look like a thing. He looks like a preacher.
I just had told her Thomas L. Larry. I said, Thomas L. don't sound right.
Well, how you doing? How you enjoy,
Retire?
yeah, more relaxed?
Y'all miss my notes up there.
Yeah, your perfume.
All of that.
Y'all want to go? Just